For this guide, we will remove the screws on the back panel and internally. Once you've installed the new SSD, you'll need to load it with the proper software, which requires some additional hardware like a computer, a flash drive, a wired keyboard, and a USB hub. Before you start taking your deck apart, make sure the space you're using is well lit and ideally clean of anything like dust and pet hair. Then check to see if it's running the latest software by going to Settings System, Software Updates, and hitting the Check for Updates button. Update the device, then shut it down. If you have a micro SD card in the slot, remove this before you continue. Then to save your joysticks and prevent your console from moving around while you work, I recommend placing your Steam Deck upside down in its case.
Do you like what you see in this video? Well, guess what? You can bring all this excitement home with you by visiting my store, yellowplays.store, to get your hands on every product or part that you see showcased here. With the best part being all at affordable prices. Elevate your gaming setup today with just one click away. Back to the video.
Step 1. Remove your Steam Deck's back cover. There are 8 screws on the Steam Deck's back cover. If you're working on the original, keep in mind that there are 2 sizes. The ones on the outside edge are longer than the ones on the inside. Once you've removed all the screws, you'll need to use something to pry the back panel away from the front, as it has clips that keep it in place. If you bought the heatsink kit, you already have a white object similar to a guitar pick that you can use. A thick guitar pick or a credit card could also work. Just be careful that it doesn't damage the cover. I recommend starting at the corner near the button bumper, and once you have a section open, don't be afraid to pull hard to get the rest of the back cover off. Once you've removed it, you can set it aside. Step 2. Remove the motherboard cover, battery, and standard SSD standard Steam Decks purchased before 2023. They should also work for the 2023 Steam Deck, but just know the internals were changed this year to include a new motherboard cover, so you don't have to remove the square of metal. However, the instructions are completely different for the new old model. If you have an old deck, the first thing you'll want to do is remove the little square of metal on the silver motherboard cover. This is covering one of the screws. Remove the screw and the 2 on the left side that hold the cover in place. Remove the cover and set it aside. Then disconnect the battery by pulling the pull tab or using your cover removal tool to help. Now you can get to the SSD. Remove the screw holding it to the motherboard and it should pop up at an angle. Gently pull it out. This is an LCD model, but if you have an OLED, here's more information. The first thing you'll notice when you open up the oldie deck is the ribbon running along the bottom across the motherboard cover. You'll need to unplug it to give yourself more room before you start unscrewing things. Be very careful with this ribbon. To unplug it, find the little white tab at the end of the left part of the ribbon. Flip this up and gently pull the ribbon down and out of its holder. There are 2 screws in the left corners of the motherboard cover that you need to remove. Then gently pry the cover up and away from the motherboard. Pull the battery tab on the right of the motherboard cover to disconnect the battery. Next, without completely removing the motherboard cover so you don't damage the ribbon, pry up the bottom left corner of the cover so you can see the SSD slot. Remove the screw and the SSD should pop up at an angle. Gently pull it out. Step 3. Install the heatsink, mount the SSD, and plug the battery back in. Now you can click the new SSD into the slot at an angle, the same as when you took the old one out. Press the SSD down gently, put the screw back in, and tighten the screw. Finally, gently push the battery back into place. Step 4. Replace the motherboard cover and the Steam Deck's back cover. Essentially, from here you are completing the steps you did initially, but in reverse. Just make sure any wires are out of the way when reinstalling the motherboard cover. For the OLD, don't forget to gently reattach the ribbon by pushing it back in and flipping down the white holder. Snap the Steam Deck's back cover into place and then screw in each of the screws. Step 4. Download and install the Steam operating system. The last step of this process is installing the Steam operating system on your brand new SSD, so you can actually play games on your deck. For this step, you'll need a laptop or PC, a flash drive with at least an 8 GB capacity, a USB-A to USB-C converter, and a wired keyboard. Download the OS from the Steam Deck recovery page, depending on what operating system your laptop or PC runs, Mac, Windows, or Linux. Also download the appropriate writing software. Once both things have been downloaded, use the software to write the OS onto the flash drive. Then plug your USB-C hub with the flash drive inserted into the Steam Deck. To start the boot drive, hold down the button to lower the volume and press the power button. When you hear the chime, you can stop holding the volume button. Once the program has loaded, you'll need to plug the keyboard into the USB-C hub so that you can choose the option to boot from the flash drive. This will load into the desktop OS where you'll have 4 options. To install the Steam OS on the new SSD, choose the Reimage Steam Deck option. This will run a coding prompt and let you know once it's done. Turn off the Steam Deck and turn it on again. It may take a little while, don't panic, but when it boots up, it will automatically load into Steam. Congrats, now you can install all of your favorite games on your Steam Deck.